Wouldn't it be lovely to just be problem-free? Because life just comes with problems, doesn't it? You know, every single one of us on this planet has problems. And wouldn't it just be lovely if life was problem-free? Wouldn't that be a great aim? To try and work it so that your life was problem-free? Well, actually, I'm going to suggest to you that that's not actually the best aim at all. And in fact, I'm going to go further and suggest as well that having a life that is problem-free is probably the last thing that you want. I'm going to suggest to you that we all need some kind of problems in our life. And so when I hear about this target of, I just want my life to be problem-free, I don't only think that it's a misguided goal because it's unattainable, and it is unattainable. But there's another reason as well, which I think actually it would take the fun out of life. So let me explain what I mean. If you're aiming to get to a point where you've got a problem-free life, you're setting yourself up to fail. Because no matter who you are, no matter how successful you are, no matter how well life is going, life has problems. It is a natural, inevitable part of life. And you only have to look at the nature of different people. You know, I remember listening to a podcast and there was a psychotherapist on there, and his niche market, if you like, was only to work with like the world's super wealthy, like billionaires and people like that. You know, people who are like 0.001% at the top of the pile. And he said, you know, the problems that they bring, they're not problem-free. One of his clients, for instance, his private yacht was so big that he didn't have any harbour to moor it in. It was a real nightmare trying to find a place that would happily harbour his massive private yacht. Now, I know what you're thinking, boo-hoo. And yet, to that particular multi-billionaire, that was something that was still ticking up his blood pressure in the same way that my problems tick up mine. But I know what you mean by boo-hoo. And the boo-hoo gets to the crux of what I'm talking about in terms of problems, because you're probably thinking, when you say boo-hoo about his massive private yacht, you're probably thinking, well, that's a problem I wouldn't mind having. You know, that's not a bad problem to have. And I suppose that's what I'm talking about. We don't lose our problems. And so aiming to lose problems and have a life that is completely problem-free is unattainable, is unrealistic. And I'm going to say in a second that it's actually undesirable as well. But what is good as an approach is to seek instead to upgrade your problems. So when you think of this super billionaire with his massive yacht, you may well be thinking, well, that's not a bad problem to have. It's a better problem than the problem I'm facing at the moment, and you may well be right. And so upgrading our problems, does the problem we have now, is that a better problem than the problem we had yesterday or last week or last month? So we're almost like playing a game here where we're on different levels, like a computer game. And our aim isn't to get rid of the problem, but our aim is to move on to the next level of the game where we get a different problem, but a better problem. But we'll still have a problem. So let's think of an example that comes to mind is, let's say you're a football manager and you've got 11 really unskilled players. They're not very good at football at all. And you've got a massive problem there. Your problem is, how on earth do I put these 11 rubbish players into a team in such a way that they don't get beat every Saturday and I end up losing my job and my reputation. Wow, that's a problem. And yet the managers at the very top of the tree, they will have like 18 world-class players in their squad. And their problem is, blimey, I've got 18 world-class players. I'm only allowed to play 11. Which 11 do I play? And moreover, how do I keep the other 7 happy, given that they're not playing and they want to? Well, as you can see, that manager at the top of the tree still has a problem. It's just a very different kind of problem. And which problem would you rather have? The one who's got 11 rubbish players or the one who's got 18 world-class players? As you can see, there's a hierarchy of problems. And so our aim isn't to eliminate problems, to try and get ourselves to the point of a problem-free life, but to upgrade our problems, much like someone playing a computer game moves up the levels. And so what's a better question to ask is, what would be a better problem in this situation? Is the problem I'm facing today a better problem than the problem I faced yesterday or last month? How do I get myself to the point where I have better problems to face than the problem that I've got at the moment? And I said before that we actually don't want to get to a place where we have no problems. It would actually be an undesirable state to be problem-free, which sounds strange, but when you think about it, having problems is one of the things that actually makes life interesting. Now, obviously, we don't want big problems. We don't want problems that are at the bottom of the hierarchy of problems. We want to get to a place where we have better problems. But one of the things that we actually do for our own entertainment to stop ourselves from being bored in life is we actually get situations and build in problems for ourselves to solve. And we call that fun. So take an example. Imagine if a crossword puzzle was printed in the newspaper every day and there was the grid. And next to the grid, where it said like 1 across and 4 down, it didn't give clues, it just gave the answers. So it was just basically saying 1 across, write in the word perpendicular. And 3 down, write in the word rabbit. And then 7 across, write in the word tears. I can guarantee you the crosswords would not be anywhere near as popular. What makes crosswords popular is that we've designed them to build in a problem for us to solve. It is the very fact that there is a clue that makes it more difficult, more problematic to complete the crossword, that makes them so popular in the first place. And the same with golf. Not my favourite thing, but lots of people love to play it. And the only reason that they love to play it is that they're not allowed to get the ball into the hole simply by walking up to the hole and putting the ball in. No, we build in a problem. That would be the easiest way of doing it, but it wouldn't be the most fun. The most fun way of doing it is to make you stand hundreds of yards away with a thin stick and say, right, get the ball in from there. And that's the only reason why people play golf, because that problem has been built in. And so if you can think of your life as a game in this way, then you'll realise that you actually do need some problems just to keep the game interesting. And so the goal isn't to try and get rid of your problems, which is unrealistic and unattainable, and I think undesirable. The point is to work in order to turn the problem that you have now into a different and better problem. And so we can start measuring our progress rather than, oh God, I've always got problems, I'm failing, which isn't true at all. But our progress can instead be measured, much like moving through the levels of a computer game, by, is this a different and better problem? What would a different and better problem look like? Because we want those problems because they make life interesting. They make it a fun game worth playing. Our goal is not to get rid of them, but to upgrade them. So that in our life we can look around and say, God, I've got this problem. And yet make it a problem that's better than the ones we used to have. And even make it a problem that would be fun to solve. And so that's my question of you, I suppose. What would be a fun problem for you to solve? How do you change the problem that you have now and envisage it so it becomes a different problem that would be fun to solve rather than your current problem, which is no fun at all? So if you like this idea, please spread it around. You can subscribe to the podcast as well for free. You can check it out on YouTube at asliceoftherapy.com, and you can work with me, Alun Parry, direct. I'm at liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. I'll be back with another one tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Bye.